Wow. Okay. In fact, it seemed like the device just froze. Um, as though it got zapped by something. Um, might that have something to do with why I was coughing? I don't even know if that segment's going to show up. I may have just lost about a minute and a half. It was nothing of real consequence, but the device just like froze on me there. It was very strange. What was? See, I started coughing, and then the device froze, and like I said, I've been dealing with weird interference patterns down here. You gotta wonder. Huh? Anyways, um, about a minute and a half there. I was pointing out that he's doing a report on the mh17 in the Ukraine. He's no doubt going to come up with some, false flag or some psyop or something to prepare us for some distant disaster or something, right? Um, and I don't know how much of this I'm going to end up watching. We'll find out, how he approaches this. I haven't watched it. I don't really know exactly what he's going to say. I just wanted to point out that, from my perspective, there really isn't a good narrative here regarding this takedown. What the State Department has come up with is like, children scribbling crayons on paper. It's just the level of discourse is just brutal. It's not even worth debunking. It's so bad. And what the Russians are putting out to counter it is not any better in any way. So it's nonsense. Going back and forth over nonsense. Is there really anything worthwhile to pull out of there? There probably isn't. Um, he'll no doubt pull out some different conspiracy sources, insiders, or like retired generals, as though a retired general is an unbiased source, right? Um, and whatever other things he can string together. But I'm going to provide an intuitive a hypothesis that is very different than anything anybody said, but is at least shown to be feasible by some of the maneuvers we've seen in the Caspian Sea over the last several years. It seems like it was a missile that took the plane down. Um, Not the kind of missile that the crazies in the Ukraine could use, and probably not the kind of missile that an American plane would have or would want to use. Why would the Americans shoot up? The premise doesn't even make any sense, right? Um, but the Russians may not have wanted people to know. Um, See, the hypothesis I'm working on is actually that neither the Russians nor the Americans wanted people to know what really happened, um, which was most likely a takedown as part of some kind of a missile defense system. That's what I was able to, and that's what it looked like to me. Um, that's an area that the United States has been trying to build an SDI in for a long time. It connected with missile sites in Latvia that are trying to come up. Um, Whether it was an accident or not is hard to say. I'm just speculating. Um, but that would be my guess. Is that you had some kind of some kind of a missile ship launcher in the Black Sea off the coast of Turkey, and they essentially set off a cruise missile from that ship, and it took the plane down. Um, Perhaps as a part of a testing, um, you know, um, and perhaps just accidentally. The reason I say that it's backed up slightly by some of the maneuverings that the Russians have been doing is if you've been paying attention to the ISIS saying the Russians have been launching, like ICBMs from the Caspian Sea and hitting targets in Syria. Um, it's very impressive, and certainly meant to send a message. Um, how much that has to do with the mh17 coming down, who knows? Or whether it's just a proof of concept. I think that that's the right way to think about this. Is that it does appear to have been a missile, but the missile probably came from a ship somewhere, and well, there's not really any reason to suggest the Americans were more or less likely. I think that putting it in a broader context is pointing towards an SDI. But I mean, this is just intuition, purely speculative. There's not a shred of evidence pointing that way. Really, all the evidence points towards is that both of the major governments involved are completely full of shit regarding this particular concern.